What's up, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Nerd Talk. I'm your host, Matt Colonna. I'm here to bring you all things nerdy, comics, video games, movies, everything. I'm here to bring it to you. So here, let's take a look at Spider-Man Homecoming.
Finally, here we go.
Good evening, Peter.
Whoa!
You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
That is awesome. I can keep that suit?
Yeah, doesn't fit me.
So when's our next retreat?
What, next mission? We'll call you. All right?
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you.
We're not there yet.
All right, kid. Good luck out there.
In my opinion, Spider-Man Homecoming is probably one of the greatest, or probably the greatest Spider-Man film we can actually get. Now, the only major reason why it's so great is because it's finally in the universe! Universe! Yes, Spider-Man is actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Universe! And I look forward to seeing him and everything else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, let's just go ahead and jump into Spider-Man Homecoming. So, if you don't know, Spider-Man Homecoming takes place 8 long years after the events of Avengers, the very first Avengers. So, it takes place 8 years into it. And so, we actually get to see what happens from the time of the Battle of New York to up to the point where Spider-Man Homecoming actually starts. So, we actually get to see what happens in between, or where Spider-Man has been, or where he is at. In terms of the actual cinematic universe. Now, in my opinion, John Watts' version of Spider-Man Homecoming has probably been, it actually is my absolute favorite Spider-Man film that has come out. No offense to Mark Webb or Sam Raimi. We owe you everything, Sam Raimi, for introducing Spider-Man to the cinematic universe. But having Spider-Man finally join the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been one of the most awaited things that we've all nerds have been waiting for. Having Spider-Man join the new universe. That's one of the greatest things that we've been waiting for. So it finally has come to pass. And I have to say, it's probably one of my absolute favorite Spider-Man films of all time. Hand to God. Not even gonna lie. Greatest movie of all time. So, one of the things that it actually addresses is how does Spider-Man fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Which they actually did a great job at incorporating Spider-Man in the missing timeline of where the hell is Spider-Man? Why isn't he part of this ensemble of characters and Avengers? So they actually did a quick intel of where Spider-Man fits into this, and they actually incorporated him really, really nicely to where it just seems like he's a character that's been sitting in the background waiting to be discovered by somebody else. Now, you saw in the trailers that you see a lot of Tony Stark. In the movie, you don't get a lot of time with Tony Stark, which is actually a great thing because this is a Spider-Man film and not Iron Man 4.5, Spider-Man Enters. It's actually Spider-Man, and having Tony Stark coming into Spider-Man Homecoming is a really good segue of actually spinning Spider-Man into it. Because Spider-Man was actually introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe back when Captain America Civil War. Not Avengers Civil War, Captain America Civil War. So we actually get a small glimpse of Spider-Man of how he actually comes into the whole Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have a good draw into him from Civil War. Now, if you don't know much about Spider-Man or how this fits into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and why Spider-Man was actually introduced in Civil War, in the comics, which hence Civil War, was actually brought into the place. Spider-Man was actually in the comics. He was actually the poster child of the Civil War. He was actually the very first character in the very first issue of Civil War that he, in turn, signs into the Accords to actually reveal his secret identity to the world, which is actually quite funny seeing J. Jonah Jameson, fall out of his seat seeing who Spider-Man really is. So that was actually how Spider-Man actually fits into Civil War. Now, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Civil War was almost the exact same storyline except for maybe a few different details that we can go on to later on. But really, for you to actually know, it was only just a small bit. There was a lot of characters. Like, it was the whole Marvel Universe tied into Civil War. So having it translated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe having a small detail with what Marvel has already actually created from Iron Man 1 to now, it was actually a good incorporation, especially bringing in Spider-Man. Spider-Man was actually the front child of everything that was supposed to be Civil War. So he was the very first superhero that actually revealed his secret identity to the world, and he was also Tony Stark's poster child since Spider-Man joined Tony Stark's side first. So we actually get to see more and more of Tony Stark and Spider-Man work hand in hand. Now, we actually see in Spider-Man Homecoming, we actually see the mentorship and the fatherly advice or just the guidance that Tony Stark has for Spider-Man, which in the comics you can actually see translated as Spider-Man is ultimately Tony Stark's heir. We actually see that in a few of Iron Man's comics where Tony Stark actually befriends and almost adopts Peter Parker as his heir to the Stark Industries line in case, anything were to happen to him, which, in comic book history, thanks to Superman, there's no death. So there's so many characters that have died and come back, but it actually brought Tony Stark the idea of he doesn't have anybody to pass on his legacy. So he finds this kid who is in need of guidance and is in need of assistance and him becoming the ultimate superhero that he can actually be. He actually befriends them and actually mentors them to actually become a stronger and better superhero. So that's what we actually get in Spider-Man Homecoming. We actually see that mentorship and actual guidance that is in the comics to actually really see him and help him grow into becoming a stronger and better Spider-Man. Now, in Homecoming, we see a lot of characters that most people have not even heard of, or they're in the entire MCU way. We actually get a lot of hints and pulls to different characters, but we don't know until the very end. So we actually get to see Aunt May in a younger version, which is Marissa Tomei actually did an amazing job, in my opinion, and I'm happy to actually see Aunt May, and one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that Spider-Man Homecoming didn't do that was left out of the entire movie that I was very glad for is Uncle Ben's death. Now, we've seen Uncle Ben die several times already, and I'm at one point as a Spider-Man fan, I am tired of seeing Uncle Ben die. How many times do we need to see him die before we get it? He's dead. With great power comes great responsibility. We get it, Marvel. He's dead. Leave it alone. We don't need to go back and reopen those wounds. Quick flashback and you're done, but we're all good. So that's one of the greatest things that Spider-Man Homecoming actually did, is the fact that we don't actually get to see Uncle Ben die again. Now, one of the greatest things that we actually get to see in Spider-Man Homecoming is the gadgets, the suit. The new suit that we actually got introduced in Captain America Civil War, which we actually get to see where it came from because of the little inserts that Peter Parker actually did, because we actually get to see the prequel almost of what happened between Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming.
Whoa! This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. This is Trey saved my life. Here's Captain America. Whoa, who's that new guy? On the roof! Gotta go!
So one of the things that you actually get to see is the connection between him and Happy, which Happy Hogan with Jon Favreau and Tom Holland, the chemistry between them is such an amazing chemistry. Just the simple fact is, like, I'm labeling Jon Favreau's character as Uncle Happy, because pretty much Uncle Happy is pretty much babysitting baby Spider-Man as he grows and matures into the actual Spider-Man, not just, he's a Spiderling right now. So he's growing up into becoming the Spider-Man, and Happy is actually the one who's watching out for him, making sure he doesn't get in trouble, and just because Tony Stark has an invested interest in him. So we actually get to see that throughout the whole entire movie, having the connection, just the integration of Happy, Tony Stark, and Spider-Man. So we actually get to see everything happen and unfold to leading up to Infinity War, which it is a lead up to Infinity War, in my opinion. So, Spider-Man Homecoming, we see the typical Peter Parker. He is the alienated nerd, nerds rock. He is pretty much not liked by many. He's not popular. He's pretty much like us, He's a regular human being who absolutely loves Star Wars and loves to tinker and pretty much be a smart nerd like we are. So that's one of the greatest things that I actually get to unfold, is seeing how Spider-Man actually grows up to become the Ultimate Spider-Man. Let's go ahead and jump into the characters right now. So the main baddie and the main villain of Spider-Man Homecoming is the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, which I'm a huge fan of Michael Keaton. He's done great work, in my opinion, or in everybody's opinion. I mean, he was the first Batman. I mean, come on. Batman Returns, that was the greatest Batmans before Christopher Nolan. I'm sorry. Christopher Nolan came into the play. So Michael Keaton comes in, and you get to see how he turns from Adrian Toomes to the Vulture in the span of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and leave this page now. I'll give you a chance. Okay, so in Spider-Man Homecoming, we actually get to see Adrian Toomes working as part of a construction crew to actually clean up the mess made by the Avengers in the first Avengers in the Battle of New York. So he's drawing all of these different parts from these alien parts from the Chitauri and actually bringing it into his costume and actually in all his weaponry. That's all Chitauri work. So overall, we actually get to see a Spider-Man that we can all love, especially in the introduction of the MCU. Well, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Nerd Talk. If you like this episode, please like and share, and also subscribe to our channel, Boozy Nerds. As always, I'm Matt Cologne. I'm the director of photography for Boozy Nerds, and I hope to see you guys next time. So remember, keep it nerdy.